Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Who is the You and You? Debate with Scientists. Mind is a Lie, said Guru Adiyogi. So I did the full reaction to this video some time ago. So it'd be interesting to see how my thoughts, my thoughts have changed since then. But this is a snippet of it, so it's going to go ahead and check it out.
Let's take a person who's born blind entirely. They don't even have a concept of vision. So who's the you for them? Do they…
Say, even a person who has visually impaired, who's never seen the world around, he still exists within himself. He's as much a man or a woman as anybody else can be. It's just that if all of us were blind, we would be quite a fine society without eyes.
Right.
Yes, isn't it? Only because somebody has and I don't have. In comparison, I have a problem. Otherwise, if none of us had eyes, you think we wouldn't have found our way around?
Science has proved beyond doubt that everything is same energy. If everything is same energy, what is it that is not allowing you to experience it that way? The only thing that is not allowing you to experience that way is your own intellect, because the very basic function of your intellect is to discriminate, is to set things apart. Only because your intellect is functioning, you are able to make out the difference between me and this chair, otherwise you wouldn't know.
Mind is a lie. Every day it'll tell you something and make you believe it. Tomorrow it'll make you feel like a fool for what you believed yesterday. Isn't it so? Hasn't it done to you any number of times? But you don't learn.
Oh man. I always forget that this Adiyogi videos, they always just get snippets from the middle. But yeah, I mean, I've got a grasp of my mind. I always think things through before going through them. So I try to think of all possibilities and outcomes. That's something I learned when I'm really young, and it made me… I'm genuinely amazed that I thought of all possible outcomes that I could think of. I'm not saying I think of all of them, but all that I can think of, and to see whether it's a good decision or not. That's something I learned really young. I can't remember what… I guess maybe I was tired being punished. Maybe that's the reason why. So and it's not to say that I was never punished again, but I've at least made wiser decisions because of it.
Is the you that can be separated from the physical?
Is it a fact that you gathered your body over a period of time?
It's a fact that this body gathered together over a period of time, and it may be that I emerge as a consequence of that, this feeling of I, as opposed to me doing the gathering.
Tell me, you've been having lunch and dinner, or…
Have I been having lunch and dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, this dynamic accumulation has been eating plenty, yeah.
So what you refer to as my body right now is an accumulation of food. It's a heap of food. Not a pleasant way to describe you, but it is. What you call as my mind, largely in people's experience, is an accumulation of impressions over a period of time.
Agreed.
So, if you have to gather this much of impressions and this much of body, something more fundamental must be there, isn't it?
Houston, Texas is an accumulation of roadways and buildings, but we wouldn't say that Houston was there and then gathered.
You are not a piece of geography. You are not a piece of geography, are you?
Well, I may be exactly that, a physical being. I'll tell you why, from my perspective, that seems like a possibility. It's because we're across the street from the world's largest medical center, and every day there are thousands of people there whose geography is changing because of Alzheimer's or stroke or tumor or traumatic brain injury, and who they are changes. It doesn't seem like there's something fundamental that outlasts damage to the tissue.
See, you're talking about thought and emotion. The biggest mistake we have made is, we have given too much significance to human thought. Whatever you think is only happening from the limited data that you have gathered, yes or no?
Agreed.
Yes.
I still want to watch this again because I want to hear it now that I know so much, or however much I know of it, and have a little bit more of an insight on what Sadhguru talks about. Because I did this reaction when this channel was relatively new, and it was kind of interesting. I saw it was a little bit difficult for me to understand Sadhguru, but now I hopefully I understand everything he says. I don't know for sure. I'd have to go back and watch it again, just because, you know, there could be still some things I don't know, and he'll say it over here, and I'm like, well, wow, there's still something else I don't know, or maybe I don't quite understand it because I didn't learn it. You know, it's always good to go back to some of the, I guess, kind of go back to basics. You know, you do so much advanced stuff that you tend to forget your basics. It's always good to go back to the basics, or at least the first things that you reacted to. But I'm just so curious. I kind of want to go back and watch it again, and just to see how now I understand things, to see how it plays out.
So the data that you and me have gathered, however big we may think it is, in terms of the cosmos, it's minuscule, it's nothing. It's really not of any consequence. So from this minuscule of data that we have gathered, we are generating some thought which could be useful in making our lives, it could be useful in creating a few things, it could be useful fundamentally for our survival and to enhancement of our survival process, all this. But it doesn't give you access to life. Thought and emotion is psychological drama that's happening within you. You can conduct it any way you want. You're talking about somebody had a tumor or Alzheimer's or an accident or something and the drama went wrong. The drama can go wrong even without any of those ailments. You ask people. People's drama goes wrong without any accident or injury or ailment, just like that, drama goes wrong on a daily basis for a lot of people.
We usually give that a name though, something like depression or a psychotic break or something.
That's a business.
Not one I'm making any money on.
Well,
I'm saying
right.
there's only this much. Either your faculties are taking instructions from you, or they have become compulsive for some reason, all right? Either your body and mind, you can conduct it consciously, or it's become compulsive. That's all that's happening. Whether you call it physical ailment or mental ailment, all that's happened is just this, that your fundamental faculties of existence on this planet is your body and your mind. These two things, you have lost grip over them. So it can become this kind of ailment or that kind of ailment or whatever, but fundamentally you have lost charge. That's all that's happened. If your body and your brain took instructions from you, would you create depression? Would you create illness? Would you create anything? You would create highest level of pleasantness for you, isn't it?
We certainly would if there were a separate you that could gain that control.
See, we can come to this like this. There is something called… because I see that you keep referring my brain. If you say my brain, that means it's yours. What is yours can't be you, right?
It's a colloquialism that we use because I need to refer to this one in here. I need to specify which brain I'm talking about.
See, when I say my hand, I know even without my hand I can still exist. Similarly, if certain parts of the brain are gone, our ability to think and feel the way we were doing it earlier may be gone, but still that person is not gone.
That's the question. So if I lose a little part of my finger, I'm still me, but if I lose a chunk of brain tissue that same size, I can be someone completely different.
No, you're talking about personality.
Sorry, there's gonna be some pausing because of coughing. But yeah, oh my gosh, you know. I know I reacted to another clip of video of this, and I wish I was there to maybe give my interpretation, and maybe he'll understand it a little bit better, because trust me, whenever I first watched these videos, I was with, I can't remember his name, I think it's David? Anyways, I was more along the line of his seat of understanding, and not so much in Sadhguru's, because obviously I was still relatively new to these things. So, I thought I was the brain, the mind, and all of these things. And mind you, I still somewhere in there think that maybe I'm a part of the brain, maybe not the whole brain. And that's again the bit of difference that I'm not sitting here saying that I'm right here, I'm this part of the brain. It's a possibility. I'm not saying this is the truth or that Atman is the truth, or Brahman is the truth, because I don't know. I've not experienced it. And this is the thing that, excuse me, I'll say that I love about Sadhguru and Hinduism is the fact that don't believe in anything, and even me wanting to believe that we're part of the brain, I'm not going to sit there and say I believe that to be true. It's going to be like, maybe that's true. That's as far as I'll go, because I don't know if it's true or not. I have no evidence to back that up. That me being somewhere in the brain is equally as true as Brahman and Atman to me. So I mean, I have a little bit more experience with the thing in my brain, I guess, a little bit, because obviously I only ever experience things through this body, so that has a little bit more truth to it than, say, the greater Brahman. But anyways, let's continue.
Personality is again an acquired thing.
Beyond personality, I can lose memory, I can lose consciousness, of course, I can lose the ability to perceive reality the way that we do now. I might become colorblind because of the lesion, because damage to a particular part of my brain. I lose the ability to understand what objects are.
Okay, let's come to this. See, suppose somebody became colorblind because of an injury or whatever that happened to them, unfortunately. That person still knows, I have become colorblind, isn't it? He's still there.
It's true for the person who becomes colorblind, but it's not true for example, a person who is born colorblind. They don't even have a concept that they could be. They don't have a concept of color. So let's take a person who's born blind entirely. They don't even have a concept of vision. So who's the you for them? Do they?
See, even a person who has visually impaired, who's never seen the world around, he still exists within himself. He's as much a man or a woman as anybody else can be. It's just that if all of us were blind, we would be quite a fine society without eyes.
Quite right.
Yes, isn't it? Only because somebody has and I don't have. In comparison, I have a problem. Otherwise, if none of us had eyes, you think we wouldn't have found our way around? We would have. Maybe not the same way, in a different way.
Oh, I totally agree, because in so many dimensions…
There are mammals who were flying by,
echolocation.
sound.
Yeah. Well, there are so many dimensions that we are blind to now. So what we call visible light is just a 1/10 trillionth of the electromagnetic spectrum that's out there. We only detect a little bit. In some branches of physics, it seems there might be between 10 to 13 spatial dimensions, not just these three, and yet we're trapped in these.
We are moving away from consciousness to perception.
But hopefully he understands, because he made great examples there. I think his name is David, if I remember correctly. I'll just call him David. He's David from now on. He makes great… it looks like he understood the question and saying, yeah, well, right now, we're clearly blind to other dimensions of light. Oh my gosh, I'm sounding like Sadhguru. Dimensions of light. Other spectrums of light. We're blind to other spectrums of light. But that doesn't change who we are. It will change our perception of things, yes, but who we are as a person does not change. Again, it seems like he's understanding, and I love the fact that Sadhguru says now we're changing from consciousness to perception. This is exactly the key thing there, is the fact that who we are and how we are able to perceive the world are a bit different things.
But my point is, we're already blind to most of the world. So I agree with you that, okay, so let's move back to perception.
See, what an individual life is, you cannot disagree that your life Are you? You're a piece of life, I'm a piece of life, everybody is. What kind of personalities we have acquired, what kind of likes and dislikes we have acquired, what kinds of gods and demons we have acquired, what kinds of other things we've acquired is a social process that's happened to us, cultural and social process. If you were born in a different part of the world, it would be entirely different. Depending upon what we are exposed to, these are impressions that we have taken in, phenomenal amount of impressions. Leaving that aside, let's look at one fundamental. Whatever you gather, you can only claim it's mine. You cannot say it's me, isn't it? Whatever you gather.
My God, listening to this again, Sadhguru is so genius here. I can't believe it, because it's because he's so right. It's just genuinely amazing that explaining how our perception and our, how do I say, our personalities and our temperament is all, well, it's always been a factor of two things: nature and nurture, how you're raised by your parents, and then your culture around you. Kind of molds who you are, but you also have to take responsibility. So there's kind of a third part to it, but two of the major things is going to be your parents and your culture. Then you mold what you gather from those two to become who you are. But you take the most of the responsibility. You either follow the culture or your parents or both or neither. Generally speaking, you'll get some bits of both, never neither. That sounds confusing.
How do you mean? You mean your body? You say
anything. I can say, this is my chair. If I sit here every day and then I say, this is me, then there's a problem.
I think there's a possibility that it's exactly what happens, that the stuff that this piece of life can end up controlling becomes me. The reason I think of this as my hand is because it most of the time is under the control.
My hand is okay, no problem. My hand is okay, me is the problem.
What do you say, me?
My hand means it belongs to you, no problem with that. When it becomes me, then it leads to a completely distortion of perception.
Okay, I think so. You're talking about identity, what you identify yourself as.
See, the nature of the mind is such, it is looking for because human intellect and human intelligence has broken out of a certain bond which was there for every other creature, that they could function like an automated machine through certain instinctual process. What has happened with the human being, with the process of evolution is, the human being has broken out of that instinctual process, and there is an intelligence which has to function consciously. But functioning consciously means every moment of life is an exploration, which is too scary for a whole lot of people. So the best thing is identify with something which gives you some sense of what you are. But
familiarity.
This some sense of what you are, which you took on based on your social and cultural backgrounds, what you took on, makes sense for your survival process, but not for explorative process. It doesn't explore life, it keeps you sane. It's a good solace. It keeps you… it helps you to sleep well in the night, but it doesn't awaken a different dimension of knowing. It doesn't awaken the possibility of exploring dimensions which are not yet within you. So if this has to happen, the most important thing is to be able to sit here not identified with anything. When I said, it's so hard to remain uneducated in this world, because everybody is busy wanting to teach you something. This is all I did in my life, to remain uneducated, not to be influenced by parents, by family, by religion that's happening around you, culture that's happening around you, education that people are forcing on you, just to be the way creation intended you to be, simply. See, I may not fit into the university milieu, but I'm okay, you know. Just simply the way you were born. Not tangling up your intelligence to any particular thing, either your nationality or your religion or your race or your creed or your family or any kind of identity or your gender or whatever, simply to be able to view your life just as a piece of life. If one does this, then you will see perception will explode in ways that they have not imagined possible.
I sometimes feel my intellect and my mind is the same.
Sorry. Man. I wonder how many... I say this a few times because it makes me wonder, you know, I don't know if any of them follow Eastern philosophy, or at least maybe follow Sadhguru's videos. And I'm wondering how many of them walked out there thinking he's a crazy, uneducated fool, or you know, maybe didn't get anything out of it. It's like, well, you know, a lot of things he makes sense, but it doesn't quite make sense, you know. Or how many of them actually was blown away with what he said, you know. It's. I wish I knew. It would be so awesome too. I wish they did like a survey. It's like, what do you think about the person? And then to come 10 years down the road, or maybe 5 years down the road, and just do that survey again to see how many of them changed their minds, or whatever the case may be. Because, man, watching it again, it just makes so much more sense.
Because they seem to be giving the same answer, but there are so many times, there's so much difference between these two, my intellect and my mind, that I can't discriminate. How do we do that?
You tell me where these two things are, I'll fix them for you.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking you, otherwise I won't ask you. I really don't know, but I don't even know they are two or one. That's my problem.
See, you go to your mechanic and say, please, my car is troubling me, I don't know whether it's the engine or the gearbox, I don't know whether it's the engine or the gearbox. Okay, you bring your car, we'll fix it. Oh, I don't know where my car is. What to do? Now, all these distinctions that you're finding between your intellect and your mind is more a studied distinction, not an experiential distinction. Please see this. It is a studied distinction, a logical distinction. Experientially, you can't separate them, isn't it? Now, if you're referring to your intellect and mind, to put it in more reasonable terms for everybody, I would say probably you're referring to your thought and your emotion. Yes? These two are not different. The way you think is the way you emote, and the way you emote is the way you think. It's both true, isn't it? And the way you think and emote depends on what data you have gathered in your life till now. The mechanism of the mind is functioning from the data that has been collected over a period of time. What input has gone in, that's the way it thinks, that's the way it emotes. Both are not of any significance. How you think is not of any significance because it is not yours. How you emote is not also of any significance because that also you gathered from outside. People think it's of tremendous significance. You know, that reminds me, about a week ago, 10 days ago, I was just driving up from Mysore to Nilgiris, up the mountain. These mountains I have, right from my childhood, I have driven up. From bicycle to motorcycle to car, I've been driving on this road, and I always loved these mountains. This time when I was driving, all the huge wonderful rocks that are there are all painted in huge bad handwriting. I love Jesus everywhere. I thought, who is this man who loves Jesus? It's always easy to love people that you have not met.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? We always love dead people. When your grandfather was at home, you were not on talking terms with him. The moment he is dead, his photograph hangs, adorns your house every day. Your gratitude that he's dead, you know. We always love the dead. From where did you get to love a man who was 2000 years ago? When you can't turn around and say hello to the man who's standing next to you, when you can't smile at the man who is walking on the street. From where did you get to love a man who is 2000 years ago? It's so easy to love him because he's not here. But this person who is next to you is here and he's so much trouble. Jesus himself never told you, you love me. He said, love thy neighbor, isn't it? Because that's the most difficult thing. To love the person who is next to you is the biggest challenge right now, isn't it?
Wow, that's actually…
To love somebody who is not here is always very easy. So, our emotions, our minds, our thought and emotion is conditioned by these kind of things. Now, when I say, if you experience, I was just using it as an example. It is possible, that is different. But when I was talking to, I was only talking as an example. Don't believe that. But don't be a fool and disbelieve that. Now, you have great trust in modern science, isn't it? Because they have produced results for you. Science has proved beyond doubt that everything is same energy. If everything is same energy, what is it that is not allowing you to experience it that way? The only thing that is not allowing you to experience that way is your own intellect, because the very basic function of your intellect is to discriminate, is to set things apart. Only because your intellect is functioning, you are able to make out the difference between me and this chair, otherwise you wouldn't know. Only because your intellect is functioning, you know you should enter this hall through this door, not through the ventilator or through the AC vent. So, your intellect is always setting things apart. Without it, your survival is impossible. But, as you already know, your survival doesn't fulfill you. So, to use the intellect for your survival and to keep it aside when it's not needed takes some amount of control within yourself, some amount of understanding as to how this mechanism functions. Experiential understanding, not intellectual understanding. If you read your anatomy, the medical anatomy, you will not know how it functions. You know enough to fix the organs, do this, do that for disease, but you will not have enough understanding to handle the interiority. You need an experiential understanding. That's what yoga is offering you. We are offering it as a science. When I say we have to offer it as a science, it has to be perfectly logical, isn't it? Yes? Illogically, I cannot teach science to you, isn't it? So it is going to be perfectly logical, but logic is used as a tool to go beyond the limitations of logic.
When you're moving along in your life and you're, operating on three wheels, just looking at your body, your mind, and your emotions, and then you realize there's the fourth wheel, and that may change the direction of your car. Could you talk about that?
See, now you're using this analogy of four wheels of the car. Your body, mind, emotion, and your energies. Your life energies will always, invariably, be in the direction of life. Life will be its priority, always. To a large extent, that is so with the body also. Body also always in the direction of life. In your mind, you may believe all kinds of stupid philosophies. You may think to be or not to be. This is all mental nonsense. You just close your mouth, hold your nose for 2 minutes and see. Body will say to be, to be, to be. There's no not to be. Yes or no? Because body is life-oriented. Life energies are 100% life-oriented. Body is largely life-oriented. Mind can freak out on anything. Mind is a lie. Every day it'll tell you something and make you believe it. Tomorrow it'll make you feel like a fool for what you believed yesterday. Isn't it so? Hasn't it done to you any number of times? You don't learn. So, now the thing is, shall we put our life energies in the direction of our mind, or shall we put our mind in the direction of our life energies? Tell me, what shall we do? What should we do?
Mind into life energies?
Center them? Now you are like this. Once there was a man who was riding a motorcycle. He prided himself to be a, new motorcycle, he's enjoying it. He and his friend are riding. Then he saw a kind of gateway where there were two lights, and he told his friend, see, I'll take the motorcycle between the two lights. From a distance, the lights were so narrow, the friend is for the first time sitting on a motorcycle, he got terrified. Between such a narrow light you're going to take, actually a whole road is passing, but from a distance it looks like they're like this. Then full speed he went through the gateway, very excited. Then they saw again two lights. And he told the friend, see, once again I'll go through these lights. And again he went. And both of them met in hell, because that was a truck.
Ouch.
So don't take the in-between way always, that's not the way. Okay, every time you can't go through them. Shall we go in the direction of life energies or in the direction of your mind? Mind is eternally confused. The more intelligent you are, the more confused you are. I want you to know this. Only an idiot is dead sure about everything. Idiots are always dead sure about everything, isn't it? Do you see the confidence with which the idiots walk in the world? An intelligent person will hesitate with every step, because there are many possibilities. You have a single-track mind, you walk with great confidence. It is to get this confidence. A majority of the people in the world are using religion to get this idiotic confidence within themselves. God is with us. Once you believe this, no stopping you, It empowers you in a certain way, but it's disastrous for the world. Yes, it empowers you in a huge way, but it's absolutely disastrous to the world. Always this has been the history of humanity, but right now we have a classic situation going. All the… Okay, let me not go into political stuff.
So anyways, it was great to look at these videos again. Okay. Anyways, it's great to look at these videos again. And again, I kind of do want to go back and watch that video. And kind of curious as to see what has changed. And it's really interesting. Let's say the mind is a lie, the mind's always confused, the mind is terrified of everything. I mean, it's kind of true, because the mind's all about survival. And anything that you don't know, that's the saying where our greatest fear is the unknown, because we don't know. If we don't know that it's going to be a good thing, we kind of have an assumption that it might be a bad thing. So it prevents us from doing something because it might, be a very bad thing. But, I always have to balance those things out, obviously. You know, you don't want to do anything too stupid, but at the same time, don't let it stop you from living life. So anyways, that's my reaction to who is the you in you. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.